Hi guys, it's Amy, and you have found Amy Loves Crochet. Thank you so much for clicking on my video. I do really appreciate any time you want to come and spend with me. I just like to chit chat about crochet with my friends, so come along and smile or laugh with me today. These last couple of weeks have been a little bit weird. You know, coming into the holiday season, everybody's time crunched all over the place. And anytime I might get a wild hair, it sends me on a, down that rabbit hole that nobody ever comes out from the same way. So I guess the first thing I just want to share with you is, after the vendor event that I was so jazzed for and kind of wasn't really my thing, and I came home that night and I just had to start cranking on something that was going to be a feel good, touch soft kind of thing. So I grabbed up some of my Arabella yarn. I've got quite a bit of it. I'm not going to say quite a bit, but I bought maybe 6 or 7 of 2 or 3 colors throughout the different sales that they've had. But this was the one that I worked on. It's called Sea Breeze, and there are lots of different greens and blues. This one's not showing. There's a little bit. But this is one that, this is a cowl that I made before. I've got a tutorial on my channel here, and the one that I made before was a little bit wider, and it was made like with a cinnamon blue, I think was the colorway. But this one's all different, like blues and greens. Sea Breeze, is that what I said it was called? Take a look real quick. Yeah, Sea Breeze. And like I said, this was 2.5 skeins, so it's a little bit long. Goes down to my midway. I can double it over if I want to. So this was really what I was thinking, because we were going from like 55 to 35 overnight one day, a 20-degree drop. So I was feeling the need for some softness here, and I really enjoyed this stitch. It works up really quickly, and I just can't believe how pretty the cowl is. So if you've got any of Arabella yarns, go ahead and work on that. I'll link my tutorial down below. So that was a feel good, and then I made the shrug that you guys have already seen. I started working on that. But just prior to that, I thought I would work on a couple of 1 skein things. As I was getting ready for the vendor event, I was a little bit cuckoo in my brain, and I needed some, thoughtless projects that I could just whip out real quick. And me and my divine hats, I call it my Ruby Stedman hat. I always will. I saw her years before all the newer videos for that hat have come out. But what I found, what I wanted to work on or work through was, and again, when I pick up my projects, it means that I'm sometimes trying to clear out one of my cubbies here, which I'm not going to do for quite some time because I just did my restashing video, reorganizing my stash. But this yarn here is the Impeccable Loops and Threads, and I had some, it's a speckles, and so I had some reds and some blues, and then I found 1 skein of the green at a clearance that was $4.99, and I got it for $2. I don't know if you can see that at all. But this colorway is called Grassy, and when I saw it in the skein, I was really jazzed for it. But when I started working it up, my go-to is a Ruby Stedman hat that will fit me, because I know what hook and what yarns work for that. But sometimes if I'm a little bit unsure, I'll drop down a hook size to say, well, at least it would fit a kid or a small adult if it doesn't fit me, right? So I started working this up, and I just did not like the way the color was playing out for an adult at all. It was getting on my nerve big time. So I went ahead and just reverted to doing a kid's hat. This colorway is, this might be a little bit true. So this is like this crazy green, teal-ish, like these are just normal yellows and greens. That colorway is kind of bleeding out a little bit. This isn't a good view, but I really thought that would be like a jazzy, exciting stripe color in there, and I did not like how it was turning out at all. Like it bled a little bit right here, so meh. And then I've got like this much left to go into my scrap bucket. So didn't love it, but it was 1 less yarn that I had to figure out a new home for in my reorganization. So so then the other one that I was working on while I was preparing you know, for the vendor event and my late nights in my bed where I could just be working mindlessly. I got 3 skeins of, I love this yarn, and it's called chambray. I had to look that up. Chambray, and it's blue, like heathered. It kind of looks like a denim. Like I thought it was just like blue denim. So I really liked the skein, and I got 3 of those on the clearance. But I'm not loving the way that the hat, it took me forever. I would do like 2 or 3 shells and then put it down and do something else. So I was just playing with it. It's all funkified right here, but I mean, it looks normal. I don't know why that looks like that. Anyway, so that's funky. Why does it look like that? Did I change hooks in the middle of the hat? Okay, that's just wonky weird. No bueno. Anyway, I always think that if I can just throw together one of these Ruby Stedman hats real quick when I'm in a funk, that it will feel good. And this one was the farthest thing from that. I don't think it's taken me that long to ever finish a Ruby Stedman hat, and it did. So I've got the scrap left from this one, and then I've got 2 more skeins I'm going to need to figure out what to do with. I mean, I don't mind having it. It doesn't look bad on the shelf, but when I wanted to use it, and then it didn't look like I maybe thought it would or whatever. So yeah. And now that I'm seeing all those lumpy bumpies, that's so funny. Did I go down? I don't know if I went down a hook size. That's weird. Okay. I didn't see that before, which really makes me that much happier about the hat, right? Okay. So the other one that I wanted to share with you is, I showed you this before. It's called the Stormy, gosh, I did it again. The Stormy Winters, the Stormy Waters. I'm going to have to look that up and post it again below. I'm sorry. I am so sorry. I usually know names better than that. But it's a really great stitch where, let me show it to you upside down. You do a cluster, and then you do a front post, and then a double crochet, and then a front post. So every other row kind of stands up on the edges like this. So like the red is the double crochet, 3, you know, a cluster of 3 double crochets. And then this purple here is a front post, and then a double crochet, and then a front post. So it sits on there really nicely like that. And it's a quick pattern. I mean, you can buzz right through. So I had 1 skein of this. This is the Unforgettable Tidal colorway. It was just these blues and kind of tan a little bit. It's like more of an aqua. It looks a lot like the Icelandic colorway, if you know that from Red Heart Super Saver. So here's that, and I didn't think that it's showing up a lot better on camera. The texture of it, it doesn't show up that nicely. When you put it on, it kind of stretches out a little bit, so it just looks like clusters of double crochets. You miss that texture where it stands up like that. I think it's so pretty. I'm gonna link it down below again. I've done that before, but I went back and forth with whether I liked this pattern or not. And again, when you put it on the head, it kind of stretches out, and it just looks like, see how these, you lose that texture. It just looks like a cluster of 3. So this pattern might be better suited for a scarf that is not going to be, you know, stretched on your head like that. So let's see here. So here's where your double crochets are, and then that next one above it, you get a post and then a double crochet and then another post. So it stands up like that. But anyway, so you saw this before. This is the one I'm showing you today. I didn't necessarily care for it as much. It looks a little better on camera than it does in person, actually. So these Unforgettables, you know, you're never quite sure. I'm never quite sure how the colorway is going to play out. And there's quite a bit left here. I should have waited. Look, I got a scale right here. So if I take off the label, whoops. I still have 61 grams, and it started with 100 grams. So I can do a whole nother hat if I wanted to of this pattern. We'll see. Maybe I'll do the scarf to match it and just be done with that one. So then I had also this Unforgettable, and these were ones that I found on clearance as well. They were $5.99, and I got them for $3. So I'll always buy a single skein when it's on totally clearance like that, which means that I don't always get my color choice. It's not always, you know, you get what's there. You get what you get and you don't throw a fit. That's what I used to always tell my children. So this one is called Meadow, and it's just some different tans that you know, it's kind of hard to describe. It's kind of ugly just by looking at it like this, but I thought it would really work out pretty. So I found a tutorial from Moogly. I think her name's Tamara Kelly, maybe. Double check. I'm sorry if that's wrong, but Moogly is the tutorial, is the pattern that I was following. And this hat, so it starts out, you start out using an M or an N, a really, really big hook, and then you go down to a J for the band. But it just, I mean, it's one of those that, how could it have fit anybody the right way? Like, ever. I don't know. Super, super floopy, super, I knew it would be kind of a baggy, slouchy look. Whoops. But, man, oh man. Like, it's huge. Anybody want to come along for a ride? So, you know me, I try to step out of my comfort zone, and then something like this happens, and it's just wackadoo. You know, I mean, it's a super, super standard pattern for the top, and then this kind of lacy. Oh, and yeah, let's go back to acknowledging crisscrosses. I keep finding these patterns that I want to do, and then I get into it and realize it's a crisscross, and I'm getting better at that, it seems, because I kind of have to, because I'm loving the patterns that I'm finding, and so I'm just sticking with it. And so that's another thing, like, I didn't set out to conquer the crisscross stitch, but somehow I have. And I find myself doing it in quite a few stitches, in quite a few patterns. So it is really pretty. I mean, if you knew you were making a big old lacy, slouchy hat like that, you know, I mean, I think for my purposes, you know, a hat is a need. A hat is not necessarily just an accessory. So if I'm wearing a hat, it's because my head is cold, not because I think it looks cute and I want to wear a hat. So for me to kind of envision other kinds of hats that you would wear just for fashion, that's not even in here at all. So this thing is not going to keep me warm. It's, I mean, I don't know. It's one of those where somebody will find a good wear for it, right? It is pretty, but anyway. Okay, so there was that one, and that one, and that one, and that one, and that one. Other than that, I just wanted to share that you saw my thumbnail, the wild cakes or mystery cakes, or what else did I hear? I heard somebody else call it something else. Just a scrappy cake? I don't know. These are my scraps that I was showing you that I was taking. One of my shelves was very full of scraps, cakes. And then I found that they were much bigger than I wanted them to be. So I do have a handful, maybe a dozen of that size cakes, scraps left that I may do something else with. But the smaller ones I put into cakes. And if you can see all the way over here in the corner, there's a whole bunch of cakes. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 already. And then I made another 5 with the yarn that I cleared from my shelves, as well as my scrap bin. You know, I go collecting those for quite a bit, and so I'm very excited that my little scrap bucket here is empty. And I've shown you this before. My sister got this. Thank you, Karen. It is awesome. If you have multiple skeins of yarn to use at one time, you can put them all in here and then have them, you know, coming out through these different holes so that they don't get tangled up. And all your supplies are right there in the front and stuff. But I use this for my scrap balls. So if I, you know, I just leave this sitting here, and I'll just use this as like an entryway to drop my scrap balls in here. And then when I collect a bunch up, I make some cakes. So I haven't actually gotten into that set was the first time I'd ever made them. I don't know, a couple months, maybe 6 months ago. I've got a video about that too. And so to know that, you know, I had that many from before, and now I've got another 5 here, I've got to get started on something. But it just would be really fun to, you know, I don't know what I picked up next, and if somebody else is using that cake, you know, like I've seen them sold on eBay or whatever. You're not going to know what's coming up next. So that's kind of fun. Mix and match the colors. One of them, I thought I was trying to pick up like all pinks and blues, maybe ones that had different variations of a pink and a blue, because that can be fun too. But anyway, they're all mixed and matched. So at some point I'll get most likely a blanket pattern to, you know, make up something big out of that. Or maybe next year, I was thinking about one of the ugly sweater contests. We're having one for our work Christmas party this year. And you know, you see them so much at the mall or at the store or whatever, and they're just so tacky. And so I thought, you know, why not just make one out of my crazy cakes, my wild cakes, my mystery cakes, whatever they are. And so maybe I'll do that for next year, and then it'll all just be crazy colors. It won't necessarily be a Christmassy one, but it'll be an ugly sweater for sure. So yeah, so I guess that's all I got for you now. I'll show you this one really quick because I really don't know where I'm at with it. You know, I gave you the little tutorial for the Winning Ways blanket, and I wanted to use my Karen Big Cakes. And I showed you I had 3 different kinds of yarn that all had a similar colorway, so it was just screaming out at me to use it. So this little pattern is fantastic, and I love it. You heard me say how much I love it. Move my chair here. Look at how awesome these colors are. Can you believe it? That is awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So it's touching the floor right now, and it comes right about to my waist. And this is where I kind of go cuckoo in another direction, because I'm trying to, you know, use the colorway until it looks a certain way and a certain color is up on top. So for example, I started out, I thought, with blue. Yeah, the blue is the bottom. So I started out with the blue and then worked my way up to here. Okay, there's one colorway. And then worked my way up to this blue. Well, that was too short. And if I continue to go to the next blue, which means another orange and yellow, then how long does that make it, you know, before I get back to my blue again? Do I want blue on top and bottom? So that's where, when I'm working with these color changing yarns, I kind of lose my mind just a little bit, because I'm trying to balance the colors of the blanket, and then that's not necessarily how much yarn comes in each color section. So this is kind of something that I am continually, you know, working on when I'm working on a blanket, is how long do I really want to make it based on where the color breaks are. So I've stopped right there for now. It starts on the blue and ends on the red. And like I said, it's about to my waist. I really didn't want it to stop on the orange or the yellow. Those are less, I appreciate the reds and the blues better than the orange and the yellow, so I really wanted the top to be either the red or the blue again. So I haven't decided if I'm going to stop there yet or continue on and then just make it a full length, because what my brain says is that lap blankets are easier to give away or donate or sell or whatever I'm going to do with a lap blanket, because it's smaller. It could fit for a child. It could be, you know, a lap blanket for an adult. So when I make it longer, you know, to full length-ish, then I seem to feel like the recipient's category is smaller. You know, where an adult might appreciate a lap blanket because of a situation, they don't need a full-length blanket necessarily. So that's always a continuing, you know, I always try to figure out where I'm going to be with a blanket based on the colorways. So still working on that. I mean, I'm not going to say I'm still working on it. I'm going to say that I haven't finished it yet. It is put to the side and I'm working on other things for now, but I'm kind of letting the juices flow up here to try to decide whether I'm going to make it a longer and or put a border on it, because I can't tell you how much I love these little lap blanket color block colors, you know. I don't think I want to put a border on it because I really like just the way that it is by itself. So anyway, that was 2 cakes of the big cakes, and I have quite a bit left. Oh, I forgot that I put my scale right here so that I could weigh some remnants and forgot. So it's handy for me to tell you. So that one left. I have about 106 grams from that one. So I've got about 215 grams altogether, and these started out as 300 grams. So I'm probably about 400 grams into this blanket, and I could use a little bit more of it and still have a good amount left. So we'll see where I get with that. You may see a follow-up with this, you may not. I may just tie it off and be done and walk away. You know, sometimes you just gotta put it down and move on. So that's where I am with that. I've got another couple of things going on, but those aren't finished yet, so you'll see those in another video. And just trying to, you know, get into the Christmas season. I am not a big decorator, so I miss feeling the Christmas vibe in a house, or since I don't work in the building anymore, you know, they do big decorations at work, and so I won't necessarily be there. I have a couple of meetings before the end of the year that I'll have to go in for, but other than that, it's just up to me to get my tree done and you know, make sure that you don't get the rest of the duties that are involved with the holidays to overwhelm you, because who wants to have a bad feeling about that? You know, this is all meant for joyfulness and spreading love and cheer. And whether you celebrate the true reason for the season or not, maybe you celebrate some other type of holiday in this time of year, just spread joy and love to all that you can, because it's too short. The supply, the demand is high, and the supply in this world today is too short. So, you know, that take a penny, leave a penny, leave love. Everywhere you go, leave love. There's no reason not to, right? Okay, guys, thank you so much for sitting with me. I do appreciate your time every single time. And if you laughed or smiled with me at all today, please click the subscribe button. I would really like to grow this channel. It's doing well, and I'm happy. So thank you. I hope to see you again. Bye-bye.